Hypothetically speaking, if there were a way to embed genetic information into a pulsar, it would likely require a highly advanced understanding of both genetic coding and the physics of pulsars. Here's a speculative approach. 1. Encoding genetic information. Genetic information would need to be encoded into a format compatible with pulsar emissions. This could involve converting DNA sequences into a binary code or another format suitable for transmission via electromagnetic radiation. 2. Modifying pulsar emissions. Scientists would need to develop technology capable of modulating the emissions of a pulsar to encode the genetic information. This could involve manipulating the frequency, intensity, or polarization of the pulsar's radiation. 3. Transmitting the information. Once the pulsar emissions are modulated with the encoded genetic information, they would propagate through space. Transmitting and receiving the information would require advanced telescopes or receivers capable of detecting and deciphering the encoded signals. 4. Decoding and implementing. Upon receiving the encoded signals, researchers would need to decode the information and convert it back into a usable format for genetic manipulation. This could involve synthesizing DNA sequences or other genetic components based on the received data.
This is purely speculative and currently beyond the realms of scientific possibility. The extreme distances, energy requirements, and technological challenges involved make it highly unlikely that such a method could ever be realized.
Hypothetically, embedding genetic information into a photon would require a significant advancement in both genetics and photonics. Here's a speculative scenario of how it might be achieved. 1. Encoding genetic information. Scientists would first need to convert genetic information, such as DNA sequences, into a format compatible with photonics. This could involve translating the genetic code into a digital or analog signal that can be modulated onto light waves. 2. Modulating photon properties. Researchers would then need to develop technology capable of modulating the properties of photons to encode the genetic information. This could involve manipulating the frequency, polarization, phase, or amplitude of the photons in a precise and controllable manner. 3. Transmission medium. Once the photons are modulated with the encoded genetic information, they would need to be transmitted through a suitable medium. This could involve using optical fibers or free space transmission techniques to propagate the photons over long distances. 4. Reception and decoding. At the receiving end, specialized detectors and decoding algorithms would be needed to extract the genetic information from the modulated photons. This would likely involve sophisticated signal processing techniques to separate the genetic signal from background noise and interference. 5. Implementation. Finally, the decoded genetic information would need to be translated back into a usable format for genetic manipulation. This could involve synthesizing DNA sequences or other genetic components based on the received data.
It's important to note that this scenario is purely hypothetical and speculative. The technology required to achieve such a feat is currently far beyond our capabilities, and there are many technical challenges and fundamental limitations that would need to be overcome. Nonetheless, it's an intriguing concept that could potentially open up new possibilities in communication and biotechnology if it were ever realized.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I stand before you to explore a concept that merges the frontiers of genetics, astrophysics, and biotechnology. Imagine a world where genetic information, the blueprint of life itself, is not confined to the structures of cells or the pages of textbooks, but rather embedded within the very fabric of light. In this visionary landscape, we envision harnessing the power of pulsars, photons, electrons, and the miracle of photosynthesis to transmit and integrate genetic information directly into plants. This concept, while speculative, opens doors to revolutionary possibilities that could redefine our understanding of life and its interplay with the cosmos. At the heart of this idea lies the convergence of two remarkable phenomena: the intricate dance of genetics within living organisms and the mesmerizing radiance of light emitted by celestial bodies like pulsars. Pulsars, those cosmic lighthouses born from the death throes of massive stars, emit beams of radiation with unparalleled precision and regularity. What if we could encode genetic information into these cosmic signals? Imagine genetic sequences translated into patterns of light, riding the waves of pulsar emissions across vast cosmic distances. These encoded messages, carried on the wings of photons, could traverse the cosmos, seeding distant worlds with the potential for life. But the journey doesn't end there. As these encoded photons reach their destination, they encounter the green laboratories of our planet plants. Through the miraculous process of photosynthesis, plants harness the energy of sunlight to fuel their growth and metabolism. What if, embedded within the photons absorbed by chlorophyll molecules, lay the genetic instructions for enhancing plant resilience, productivity, and sustainability? Picture a world where crops are not merely passive recipients of sunlight, but active participants in their own genetic evolution, guided by the whispers of distant stars. With each photon captured, each pulse of light absorbed, plants could integrate and express genetic information encoded within, unlocking new pathways for adaptation and survival. But let us be clear, this vision is not without its challenges and ethical considerations. The complexities of genetic manipulation, the intricacies of pulsar emissions, and the potential ecological impacts demand careful scrutiny and rigorous oversight. Yet, in the face of these challenges, we are driven by the spirit of exploration, innovation, and a profound reverence for the interconnectedness of life and the cosmos. As we gaze upon the stars, let us not only ponder our place in the universe, but also imagine the boundless possibilities that await us at the intersection of genetics and light. In closing, let us embark on this journey with open minds, daring imaginations, and unwavering commitment to the pursuit of knowledge and discovery. For in the marriage of genetic information and light, we glimpse not only the future of biotechnology, but also a profound reimagining of our place in the cosmic tapestry of existence. Thank you.
Texas Eclipse 2024. During a full solar eclipse, the moon passes between the Earth and the Sun, momentarily blocking the Sun's light. While this event may not directly relate to the concept of embedding genetic information into light or pulsars, it does offer an interesting perspective on how plants respond to changes in light conditions.
During a solar eclipse, the sudden decrease in sunlight can trigger various physiological responses in plants. For example, some plants may close their stomata, those small pores on the surface of leaves, to conserve water and prevent excessive water loss during the temporary darkness. Additionally, plants may adjust their photosynthetic processes to cope with the reduced light availability.
While a solar eclipse itself may not leave a lasting genetic marker on plants, it does serve as a natural experiment to study how plants adapt to changes in light conditions. Scientists can investigate how different plant species respond to the temporary darkness and whether there are any long-term effects on growth, development, or gene expression.
In the context of the earlier discussion about embedding genetic information into light, a solar eclipse could be seen as a natural phenomenon that influences the light environment experienced by plants. While the eclipse itself may not directly encode genetic information into photons, it does provide an opportunity to study how plants interact with light and how these interactions shape their genetic and physiological responses over time.
Would a mushroom have a genetic change as a result of the Texas Eclipse 2024? I'm looking forward to listening to you speak at the Texas Eclipse Festival. I will be attending as a festival goer. Could we, or should I say you, please look at the genetic music of mushrooms' response to the eclipse?
Certainly. Diatonic harmonization involves creating chords or melodies within a specific key using the notes of a diatonic scale. The tetraformed binaural waveforms concept combines these musical elements with the manipulation of audio waves for a binaural experience.
Let's consider creating a diatonic harmonization based on 432 Hz, a frequency often associated with healing and natural resonance.
C. 261.63 Hz. D. 293.66 Hz. E. 329.63 Hz. F. 349.23 Hz. G. 392 Hz. A. 440 Hz. B. 493.88 Hz.
For a tetraformed binaural experience, we could harmonize the notes of the C major scale by slightly altering the frequencies for each ear to create binaural beats.
In one ear, play C at 432 Hz. In the other ear, play C slightly higher or lower to create a binaural beat, say 435 Hz or 429 Hz.
Repeat this process for each note of the C major scale, maintaining the intervals between the notes while adjusting the frequencies slightly for the binaural effect.
This approach would involve adjusting the frequencies of each note in the scale to create the desired binaural effect, while maintaining the diatonic relationships between the notes within the C major scale.
Binaural beats are an auditory illusion perceived when two slightly different frequencies are presented separately to each ear.
While binaural beats have been studied for their potential effects on brainwave activity and cognition, there is no known direct relationship between binaural beats and Metatron's cube, a mystical geometric figure.
Metatron's cube is a symbolic representation of the Platonic solids and the relationships between them.
While Metatron's cube has deep spiritual and metaphysical significance in certain belief systems, it is primarily a symbolic and philosophical concept rather than a mathematical formula in the conventional sense.
Although both binaural beats and Metatron's cube are intriguing topics within their respective domains, there is no established scientific or mathematical connection between them.
Creating a graph of geometrical shapes embedded into the sound wave based on the binaural range of notes is an intriguing concept that blends auditory perception with visual representation.
While it's a creative idea, it would be a highly speculative and abstract interpretation, as there is no direct scientific or mathematical relationship between musical notes in the binaural range and geometrical shapes.
However, if we were to explore this concept hypothetically, we could imagine assigning different geometrical shapes to each note in the binaural range, and then visualizing these shapes within the waveform of the sound.
For example, lower frequencies could correspond to simpler shapes like circles or squares, while higher frequencies could correspond to more complex shapes like triangles or polygons.
To create such a visualization, one could potentially use signal processing techniques to analyze the waveform of the sound and map the frequency of each note to a specific geometrical shape.
The resulting graph could display the changing shapes embedded within the waveform as the notes in the binaural range are played.
While this visualization would be highly interpretive and abstract, it could serve as a creative exploration of the intersection between auditory perception and visual representation.
It's important to note, however, that this concept would be more artistic and metaphorical than grounded in empirical science or mathematics.
To relate binaural frequencies, charts of notes, Pythagorean mathematics, and video projection in vectors, you can consider the following. 1. Binaural frequencies. Binaural frequencies are two different frequencies presented separately to each ear, often used in audio recordings to create a sense of spatialization or depth perception. In video projection, these frequencies can be used to enhance the immersive experience by synchronizing sound with visual elements. 1. Chart of notes. A chart of notes represents the frequencies of musical notes typically arranged in a logarithmic scale. In Pythagorean mathematics, musical intervals are derived from ratios of whole numbers, which can be related to the frequencies of notes in a chart. This mathematical approach helps understand the harmonics and relationships between different musical tones. 1. Pythagorean mathematics. Pythagorean mathematics deals with ratios and proportions, particularly in the context of geometry and music. The Pythagorean theorem, for example, relates the lengths of the sides of a right triangle. In music, Pythagorean tuning is based on perfect fifths, which are in a ratio of 3 to 2. 1. Video projection in vectors. Video projection in vectors involves projecting images or animations using mathematical vectors to define shapes and movements. Pythagorean mathematics can be applied here to calculate distances, angles, and proportions, ensuring accurate projection and alignment of visual elements.
By integrating these elements, you can create a multimedia experience where binaural frequencies enhance the audio immersion, charts of notes provide musical context, Pythagorean mathematics govern the harmony and proportions, and video projection in vectors ensures precise visualization of the content.
Thesis statement. Exploring the intersection of audiovisual immersion, mathematical harmony, and spatial projection, this essay navigates through the realms of binaural frequencies, Pythagorean mathematics, and video projection in vectors. Through an examination of each topic, we uncover their significance in enhancing the sensory experience and artistic expression in multimedia environments.
Essay.
Introduction. In today's multimedia landscape, the amalgamation of various elements such as sound, visuals, and mathematics plays a pivotal role in crafting immersive experiences. Our exploration delves into the realms of binaural frequencies, Pythagorean mathematics, and video projection in vectors, shedding light on their interconnectedness and impact on multimedia artistry.
Binaural frequencies. Binaural frequencies, characterized by the presentation of different frequencies to each ear, serve as a cornerstone in audio immersion. By leveraging the human auditory system's ability to perceive spatial cues, binaural recordings create a sense of depth and realism, enriching the listener's experience. Through precise manipulation of frequency and phase, creators can transport audiences into rich sonic landscapes, heightening emotional resonance and narrative engagement.
Pythagorean mathematics. Embedded within the fabric of music theory, Pythagorean mathematics unveils the underlying harmony and structure of musical composition. Rooted in the ratios of whole numbers, Pythagorean tuning forms the foundation of musical intervals, guiding the arrangement of notes on a scale. This mathematical elegance not only governs the melodious progression of harmonies, but also permeates other artistic disciplines, offering a framework for understanding proportion, rhythm, and aesthetic balance.
Video projection in vectors. In the realm of visual storytelling, video projection in vectors emerges as a powerful tool for spatial manipulation and artistic expression. By employing mathematical vectors to define shapes and movements, creators can sculpt dynamic visual narratives that transcend traditional constraints. From immersive installations to interactive exhibits, the precision afforded by vector-based projection enables seamless integration of digital content into physical spaces, blurring the boundaries between reality and virtuality.
Conclusion. As we navigate the intricate tapestry of audiovisual immersion, mathematical harmony, and spatial projection, it becomes evident that each element contributes uniquely to the richness and depth of multimedia experiences. By embracing the synergies between binaural frequencies, Pythagorean mathematics, and video projection in vectors, creators unlock new realms of creativity and expression, shaping the future of multimedia artistry and immersive storytelling.